Hey, deserving listeners, let's watch Sister Wives and see what happens.
Realizing that I am morphing or transmuting grief into anger, and I realized that I'm just not a safe place for you to have a conversation. So just one trigger after another just set me off.
Okay, it's in the right direction. I think there's a lot more apologizing that would be good. So this is better than before, and it's a definite improvement, and I commend him for saying those things. I don't know if it's too little too late. I wonder if it is for Janelle. Not that I have any vested interest. If anything, I guess I would, well, I don't know. I mean, there's a future in which he gets the therapy that he needs and clarifies things for himself and is able to reconnect with his inner life, the goodness, and discovers that he still has a lot of love for Janelle. I don't know. Doesn't seem like it, though. So, yeah.
I do think I want to stay separated for now.
Really, you want to stay separated?
Yeah, I do.
I'm sort of surprised that she doesn't want to try and reconcile, that she wants to be separated.
Yeah, it's so strange. So I'll just restate things that I've said before, and I'll say it briefly for the sake of time, that it's strange because it seems like he is trying to get her to break up with him. There's a lot of arrows pointing in that direction, and Janelle and I think Christine and I think others in the family have observed that, and they would have a lot more data than I would. So if he is now succeeding in getting her to stay separated and eventually divorced, then you'd think he would be happy about that. He could be, if that's true, just saying that because this is the whole point, maybe, is to try to make himself look like a victim so that people won't hate him as much. But I think there's another possibility that he doesn't know what he's doing, which wouldn't be strange, and is genuinely confused as to why Janelle would want to stay separated. Or something, I don't know. It's or it could be both. It could be a mixture of things. You know, people can have strange, different reactions to the same thing. So he could both want her to leave, because he has stated for years now that he doesn't want to be in a polygamous situation. He has said it behind closed doors with Robin in particular. So he's talked about how he wants to just run away from everything. So it's not a mystery that he would want Janelle to go. And at the same time, he could be hurt that she is leaving. It might sound strange, but when people are confused and they're suffering, strange paradoxes can be true.
We've been separated probably 2 or 3 times in the past. I always felt like that was because she couldn't manage the relationship with her sister wives.
Yeah, it sounds like that was the case, according to Janelle. I didn't know it was 2 or 3 times that they've separated. We heard about one time when she stayed behind in Montana or Wyoming or something, and might not have re-engaged with the family, but then eventually did. So, I mean, it sounded like she had a job that she didn't want to lose, so that was at least the pretense, or at least the stated reason, but she also was just happy to be on her own. I'm assuming the kids stayed with her, but anyway, her kids. So yeah, I imagine that in the past, because it sounds like in the past, for Janelle in particular, she didn't fight with him and until recently. And in the past, she definitely was not getting along with the sister wife. So it's interesting to hear. And it fits with my hypothesis about Janelle, and if she has insecure attachment, that it would be more on the avoidant, dismissive side, which would result in a more likelihood to separate, to get away. And there could be a lot of wisdom to it. It's not dysfunctional or pathological necessarily.
Never felt like that was over me, but maybe I was wrong.
I'm really, really willing to do some counseling if we can find somebody.
I think that's more fair. Christine just dropped this on me.
I just know that I need to be separate right now, you know?
Okay.
I mean, I still have a lot of affection for you. Yeah, maybe some counseling is a good idea.
Yeah, if he's changed and he's back to his old self, if I am framing his old self correctly, which I can't know. But yeah, if there is a way forward, then yeah, couples counseling would be the way to go.
Other than just that experience where I'm blowing up over really just, I guess, rejection. You guys are doing Christmas without me. It's a.
You know, Christine and I didn't do Christmas together, right? We did it separate, and she came after.
But it was still a Christmas celebration.
Okay, I'm worried that this is gonna escalate because it sounds like he still doesn't see it in a non-distorted manner. The way he framed it, you spent Christmas without me. No, you made it impossible for them to spend it with you.
Basically the family getting together.
Well, I mean, and this is where I think we need to be really tread carefully till we can have a third party. I mean, Kody,
Right, Janelle senses it too. I was like, well, we need to be careful because we need a therapist here, but you understand that it wasn't me rejecting you.
I'm not going to get angry anymore, Janelle.
I didn't know what to do about my boys. That's really what's the make or
all I
break.
have to do is have a conversation with them, and I don't want to do this. This is really the.
So he senses it too, that, okay, if we continue talking about this, it'll go badly. I might get triggered. So they're both being careful, which is good. And having a therapist there would definitely, would be a better idea than them having a rehashing of the conversation and have it escalate to the way it did before.
I don't want to be in a place where we're just acting like nothing has happened. I think in some ways that's what was happening with Christine and I. When I would have conversations with her about our relationship, it was too uncomfortable for her. She didn't like having those conversations. And yet she left with me sort of holding the bag, never knowing that she was going to leave. She was making plans on leaving, having a discussion with people about leaving.
So I'm pretty sure Janelle has thoughts that are similar to mine, maybe much more accurate and more elaborate than mine, but the way he's framing it, it just did not look that way. The way he's framing it, it was like she was being a jerk face, and when he was trying to talk about it, she would say, "I don't want to talk about it," and then one day, boom, she was gone. That's like not even close to the way it actually happened. So I'm going to take a guess and say Janelle will continue to say, look, we shouldn't talk. We need a therapist.
And then when she leaves, I'm like, she never told me.
So when Kody talks about Christine and him splitting up, it always shocks me that he purports that he never saw this coming. He's been telling me for years that he wasn't attracted to Christine. They were struggling in their marriage. I would have left his ass the first time he said that to me. I would have.
I'm not going to be angry with you anymore.
Wow, we are here in the shit because we, or at least me, in the first number of seasons, maybe the first 15 or 16 seasons, I, in comparison to other reality TV shows, I thought there's not much to grab onto because I think they are not telling the camera a lot of things, which is totally their prerogative and their right. And I was actually glad that they weren't airing their dirty laundry and triangulating the TV show and the audience in their problems. So now that those shackles or that policy has changed, we're now hearing, wow. So not only was he not attracted to, I tend to believe Janelle, she doesn't tend to exaggerate. So we're hearing from her that for years, Kody, maybe from the very beginning, has been saying he's not one, that he is not attracted to Christine, and then two, that he was telling Janelle about it. And maybe telling Christine about it too. And he is completely within his rights to not be attracted to someone. What are you going to do? There's only so much you can do. The problem is, what do you do about it? And also, how do you avoid that? Well, maybe date people for a few years before you get married at the very least. I mean, do they have that in polygamy? Somehow it's like, why does polygamy have to have the shortest dating periods of all time? It seems like it should be the opposite, because not only does this new person have to integrate with him, but they have to integrate with everyone, including all the kids if they're around. So it seems like for polygamy, the dating assessment, trial, probationary period should be the longest compared to other, and yet theirs is, it seems like it's overnight. So, if you're just gonna do it the way they do it, you're rolling the dice. In fact, I think even the very question as to whether or not one is attracted to someone else might even be going in the direction of sin, because then you're having lust for someone that you're not married to. They're not allowed to kiss before they get married. They're not allowed to maybe even touch. I don't know. And there's flexibility and some fudging of the rules. But I think when the first 3 wives entered, they were pretty adherent to the rules, because it sounds like they were fully in that group, and it was very secretive and very cultish. So, and they were so young. And that there's a chance that they never really dated. Well, wasn't Janelle married before? Well, I think one of them was. Anyway, I'll have to look at my notes. Right. Janelle was married before. So she would have had at least some experience coming in. Anyway. This is an ad by BetterHelp. And if you sign up, please use the link below, because that really helps us out. So these days, when it comes to mental health, there's a lot of guidance and advice out there, right? From detoxes to cold plunges and other sorts of things like that. But how do you know what would work for you personally? In recent years, I've had to spend a lot of time debunking a lot of myths that clients have absorbed from TikTok and Facebook. So a well-trained ethical therapist can be a wonderful resource when it comes to sifting through all that information and developing a personalized treatment plan for you. Well, a good option to find a therapist is at BetterHelp. If you're thinking of starting therapy, it's definitely worth giving a try. They have over 35,000 therapists with a wide variety of styles. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. So, talk it out with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/Kirk. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Kirk.
Okay. So, if you want to do a separation, I understand, but I'm not going to be angry anymore. If I get angry, I'm going to leave. I'm not going to be accusatory. I realize that I'm morphing this grief.
It's good that he's framing it that way. And if I were Janelle, I would let him have what I would consider to be a transitional perspective, because it's better than before, but it's not really wise. He's framing it as, I was callously dumped by Christine, and I'm sad, and I'm taking it out on other people. Well, he's not even saying that. I'm getting triggered often. Okay, that's better than before. At least you're acknowledging that you're not exactly rational and that you are being triggered. Okay, but it's not as if everything was great and you were loving and everything was normal, and then all of a sudden Christine just dumped you for no reason. You left her in all ways except for the final way, and then Christine just did the final way because she was forced to, in a way.
I do not know how to reconcile with you unless my kids can all be. Kody, you haven't even talked to Savannah in 6 weeks. Like, you didn't even call her at Christmas or.
Okay, so if the past is any prediction of now, he will stammer because he has no excuse and he does not know how to frame it. I'm guessing there might be a valid explanation or a valid narrative that isn't that he just is a horrible father. There's a potential narrative of he is in such a dark place that he's struggling from moment to moment, and it's almost impossible for him to reach out to anyone, including his own kids. Depressed individuals, that'll happen. It's still damaging to the kids, and he should try to figure out a way out of all of that for the sake of himself and his kids. But it's not as if we would frame that situation as he is a horrible human being and he never loved his kids, which I don't think to be true. It could be true, but I don't think to be true. So there are ways of narrativizing it or conceptualizations that might absolutely cohere with what's happening. But he doesn't have any way out of it because it's just facts on the ground that he has not been in contact with his kids. And there's no reason for that. With Gabe and with Garrison, he will claim it's because they are not following the precautions. They were not loyal. They're attacking Robin. Apparently, I think maybe Gabe called Robin and accused her over the phone of manipulating Kody with her strict rules, which, I understand why they would think that. And I've talked about this before, that if push comes to shove, the kids will want to retain their connection with Kody primarily. If they have a choice between blaming Kody or Robin, it's much more emotionally safe and attachment-wise safe to blame Robin because they don't have an attachment to Robin. If they lose Robin as a second mom or fourth mom, it's much less of a loss to them than to lose Kody. And this will happen all the time when you have a divorce and a child will be primarily living with one, say the kids are primarily living with in a heterosexual family, the mom. Heterosexual family sounds funny, but the parents are heterosexual. So you have the kids are primarily living with the mom, and the dad visits every few months and is Disneyland dad, that kind of thing. Well, the dad is absolutely abandoning the kids, and the kids are hurt, but they know or intuit that if they attack or complain about the dad and the dad catches wind of it, then they might lose whatever tiny thread they have left. Well, what do they do with their anger? Well, they have to let it out somewhere, and they have to attack someone, so they attack their mom, even though their mom is like infinitely better than the dad. That happens sometimes, unfortunately. It's normal. So I wonder if that. But anyway, so he can say, he has a very bad excuse and narrative for why he's rejecting Gabe and Garrison. It makes no sense. But when it comes to these other kids, why? What are you doing, pal? And so she says this, and let's see what he does here. Often he has no response. So let's see what he says here.
Anything, like nothing.
Well, everybody, when Janelle and Christine.
Yeah, because there's nothing you can say. There's literally nothing that he can say to justify not having contact with his own daughter for 6 weeks. I mean, forget about, over Christmas. His own child, no contact, and she wants contact with him. There's no, he probably had the normal things that he said about Gabe and Garrison of like, well, she has a phone, she can call me. It's like, what are you talking about? Come on.
Kick me out of their house. And then when Christine leaves, they separate me from the environment that I know my children in. I'm just struggling to survive all the heartbreak here.
Okay, so they edited that, so who knows what was the full explanation there. But yeah, it doesn't. No. Especially by now, because it's well into the vaccination age. And even if he's still worried, you can certainly, you're going to dinner with or lunch with Janelle, you can certainly take some of your kids out for lunch and be it looks like they're sitting in an outside area, maybe because of worries of the virus, although he was with Christine inside. I don't know, which is fine. People can have their own precautions. Even back then, it might seem strange. It's like, it's 2 years into the pandemic. People were still dying by the thousands at this time. And the virus was changing, and the horrific way in which people were dying, and then long COVID and also being a vector, it was still very much a problem, even though, for a lot of people, including myself to some extent, you just got fatigued. I can't go back. I can't even, there's a new strain. I can't go back. I just can't. It's too painful. And, it's hard. Our society just isn't set up to deal with this kind of thing because it's a relatively new thing that we have the ability. In the past we've had all sorts of plagues and Black Deaths and bubonics and flus during the World War I that have killed millions upon millions, or at least a large percentage of a region of people, or at least around the world. And so, not at least, but what I'm saying. Anyway, so but now we have the science and the public health measures and the communication ability to actually do something about it. And so anyway, so yeah, and I think anyway. So he stammered, and then he says, "Well, when they left me, which Janelle hasn't left him, Christine has." I mean, he could argue it's hard for him to see Christine and his kids because Christine lives in another state. Okay, you can call him. You can also drive up there every other weekend or something. Christine only had one kid still living at home, so whatever he was doing before the pandemic to reach out to his own kids who are in college or have their own families and kids, like, do you love them or not? So yeah, this excuse, he's had probably months to think of an excuse, from the time this was happening until this interview, and that's the best he can come up with, which tells me that there's no valid excuse. He doesn't, I think actually the most likely thing is he doesn't know why he's rejecting his kids. And when he looks inward, he has tremendous shame, and he doesn't even want to look at it. Because he doesn't, whenever we see these interviews, and we don't know because it's all, edited, but he's not addressing the way he's treating his kids. He's addressing his marriages, which is something to talk about and think about. But I think because with a lot of the kids, he doesn't have any justification. I think just below the surface, he is deeply ashamed. I mean, at least he should be. he should feel guilt. But beyond that is the exploration of, why am I doing this? What's happening? All right, let's adjourn there. Tune in next time when I continue watching. And everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.